am reacting to your pre-WrestleMania hot takes. This is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to voice your thoughts, good or bad, about the current world of professional wrestling. I normally do this video on the weekend, but because this is WrestleMania weekend, I figured I'd do it a little bit earlier this time. But I am going to be doing a post-WrestleMania hot takes video, so if you want to be able to voice your thoughts about WrestleMania, make sure that you're following me on X. I'm going to ask for your WrestleMania hot takes right after Night 2 ends. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. It's clockwork here, baby. You should also know that over on Patreon right now, we have uploaded the NXT Stand and Deliver predictions that is exclusive to Patreon. Over there, you're also going to get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier than everyone else, the Raw reviews and the SmackDown reviews. So you're going to be getting the Raw after Mania Raw review over there. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. It'll be the top link in the description, or it'll be the link in the pinned comment. There's over 700 of you already supporting on there, so thank you. And like we always say, let's read some stupid shit. Well, the first hot take comes from WWE superstar Greg Miller, who says, I think one tag team wins the first set of belts, and I think the second set of belts gets yanked down later by two guys at the same time. We get a team of foes, something like Woods brings one down and Waller brings down the second. They're forced to team together as champions. I'll be honest, Greg, this never once crossed my mind as a possibility, but this is ridiculous enough to actually work. Because the WWE has given us a set of rules as to how the match ends, but they haven't expanded on the rules, which allows for crazy interpretations like these. Because they have said that this ladder match will end when both sets of titles are yanked down, but it doesn't say that it needs to be yanked down by the same members of the tag team that went into the match. So even though the rule of the match finish is specific, it's not specific enough, which could lead us into a scenario where, yeah, maybe we end up with a ridiculous tag team like R-Truth and Austin Theory, which would be wonderful mayhem for television. I think the one downside of this potentially happening is maybe the people in attendance and the people at home not knowing exactly how to react, because they might not understand the finish. They might not know if the match is actually over. They might not know how to react. Should we cheer? Should we boo? Really depending on who grabbed these belts. But again, this is all fun mayhem that could happen because of the specific yet not specific enough rule sets of this ladder match. All I can say is that I'm pumped for this ladder match. I think it's going to be a beautiful car wreck of awesome moments. WWE Speed is too short. I feel like 5 minutes is the perfect amount of time for them to put on a believable match. Currently, 3 minutes makes some moves a quote no sell. I don't agree with you that it's too short, but I do agree that 3 minutes does create a match that is conducive of no selling moves. But I think that's what they're going for. I think they're trying to counter program AEW style of professional wrestling, which to a lot of people has a lot of no selling of moves. But it is a style of professional wrestling that's gotten quite popular in North America. On top of that, I like the 3-minute nature because it's just quick and bite-sized while also making it super easy for a non-wrestling fan to come in, sit down, and enjoy bite-sized wrestling, and maybe it'll help them get and become a professional wrestling fan. You know, I actually think that 5 minutes is too long for this generation of people that are on social media that are used to super quick to the point content like on TikTok. I personally really like the inaugural match between Ricochet and Dragon Lee. I thought it was a banger, but yeah, there's some no selling moves, but I think that's by design. And if you want them to sell moves, just watch regular WWE. Dude, watching NXT yesterday just made me realize how much potential Carl Anderson has if he just went lone wolf like AJ Styles. I think he should be a top mid-carder because his in-ring work is good. His mic skills aren't that bad considered he talks for Gallows either way. Think about it. I've actually been saying this over the last couple of weeks that they've been on NXT and they've actually been featured. Carl Anderson is a machine. He is incredibly good in the ring. And yes, he is the mouthpiece of the tag team. So to me, he is like doing 90% of the job for that tag team. No disrespect to Gallows. He's a particular type of wrestler, but the match does inherently slow down when he tags in and becomes less exciting. I'm far more interested whenever Carl Anderson is actually in the ring. I would love to see a day where maybe Carl Anderson dips his toes and becomes a singles mid-carder. Seth should retain at WrestleMania and continue his feud with Drew going into Clash at the Castle before he finally wins. We can't do that. Guys, that would be like the 5th Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre match in the span of 6 months. This one is forgivable because this is a new character for Drew McIntyre, so it does at the very least feel fresh. But let's not forget, they already had a title match at Crown Jewel. They already had a title match at Raw day one. They already are having a title match at WrestleMania. So we can't continue to have more of these matches. At some point or another, this feud needs to end so that they can go their separate ways and do something else. That being said, I don't hate the idea of a rematch at Clash at the Castle, but you can still have Drew McIntyre go in as the champion. He doesn't have to win it at Clash at the Castle. Plus, for marketing purposes, it's not the worst idea to have a guy from Scotland marketing the show in Scotland as a world champion in the WWE. But at some point or another, we have to call it an end on Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. It can't go on forever. Cody Rhodes has to beat Roman on Sunday. Rock said if he fails, it's the last chance he gets, and no one is good enough or better booked to beat Roman than Cody is. I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to protecting the Royal Rumble winner. I feel like somebody that wins the Royal Rumble should have, at the very least, a very good shot of winning at WrestleMania, if not be the winner at WrestleMania. But when you have a back-to-back winner of the Royal Rumble, if they were to lose after being the Royal Rumble winner twice, that's brutal. I agree. I think Cody has to win here, and I don't think that this is the end of the Bloodline saga if Cody were to win. I still think that there's a lot of meat on the bone with the situations that could unfold between The Rock and Cody Rhodes afterwards, and of course, The Rock and Roman Reigns. Because I'm predicting that if Roman Reigns loses, he is going to take a hiatus, but that hiatus is going to come at the hands of a major beatdown from The Rock, which can set up a big marquee WrestleMania 41 match between The Rock and Roman Reigns. So you can still keep the Bloodline story alive while Cody is finishing his story and starting a new saga altogether somewhere else that maybe doesn't have to involve the Bloodline 24/7. But for the sake of the Royal Rumble, I feel like my boy Cody needs to win. How about this hot take? The hottest thing on the internet is Soncho Mania, and the more you try to put out the fire, the wilder it grows. Soon you will find out your fire hose is too short to put this fire out. Soncho Mania is not a thing. Soncho Mania is in fact so dead that if we were to do a Soncho Mania shirt for Wrestling is Cool, it would sell zero. No pop, Soncho. If you aren't understanding this beef, you need to watch the Wrestling is Cool podcast. We already have some episodes up on Patreon, but also on audio feeds and YouTube. Go check out the podcast. It's a really, really good show. I think you're gonna like it. Even if Soncho is ridiculous with his Soncho Mania stuff. Fellas, let me talk to you. If there's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking, it's with Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was actually invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. For me, every time I have a Z-Biotics before drinks, I notice that the next day I'm actually feeling fresh. And it's because I'm feeling fresh that I'm able to still do the things that I love to the fullest even after a night of drinking. For example, going to the gym and exercising and making those gains. At least for me personally, a night of drinking makes for an easy excuse to miss a day at the gym since I'm not feeling the best in the morning. But with Z-Biotics, I feel fresh the next day, so I have no excuse but to keep going to the gym and grinding. Because fellas, those gains don't make themselves. So go to zbiotics.com/Santi to get 15% off your first order when you use Santi at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money back guaranteed. So if you're unsatisfied for any reasons, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. So remember to head to zbiotics.com/Santi and use code Santi at checkout for 15% off. Thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this episode and our good times. Back to the video. Bayley versus Io Sky is arguably the best feud going into WrestleMania. It's up there, and I think it's the most traditionally good wrestling feud that doesn't require outside third parties to make it even bigger, because in my opinion, the best feud going into WrestleMania is the feud that's leading to the night one main event. In fact, I think that's the greatest built and most hyped WrestleMania match period in the history of the existence of WrestleMania. But, you know, as a traditional wrestling feud, Bayley and Io Sky has been very, very good. I do think that there's some other feuds that are starting to rival it, but when it comes to just, you know, somebody that you want to see win in Bayley and the evil champion, it doesn't get as simple as that. And it's a good feud, and there's great history to back it as well. MJF helps Cody win the title, but then lays him out while celebrating. Priest comes down with the briefcase, but it's empty. Finn and Judgment Judgment Day then turn on Priest, Finn cashes in the briefcase and beats Cody. That's good, man. Oh, dude, this is a good fairy tale. Thank you for sending that garbage in. I actually wouldn't mind a cash-in from Damian Priest on Raw after WrestleMania, as it is less expected than if he cashed in at WrestleMania 40. However, I don't see him as a World Heavyweight Champion type of wrestler at the moment. I don't see it happening at WrestleMania either. A lot of people are saying that he should cash in on Cody Rhodes, but I just don't see a world where night 2 of the biggest WrestleMania of all time ends with Damian Priest getting the pyro and getting the confetti. I just don't see it happening. I do see a potential world where he cashes in on the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, but I think you're right. I feel like the better audience to do this in front of is the Raw after WrestleMania crowd, which is notoriously the loudest and rowdiest, most heel-friendly bunch of people for a Raw that you could possibly get in the calendar year. I think you can create a really special moment if it happens in Raw after WrestleMania. Just look at the monumental pop that Dolph Ziggler got a few years ago. Oh my God, it's not a few years ago. It's 11 years ago. God damn it, I'm old. Cody Rhodes losing will be the worst booking decision possible, yet I can still see WWE going through with it for some reason. I don't think that this would be the worst booking decision ever. Let's not forget about Goldberg defeating The Fiend for the Universal Championship. I think that probably takes the cake. And as much as I wouldn't love Cody Rhodes losing, at this point, I trust the WWE enough to, as The Rock says, join along for the ride that The Rock is taking us on, or that the WWE is taking us on. On top of that, I have a bit of extra trust with the WWE and with long-term storytelling because Vince McMahon is completely out of the picture. If he was looming in the background, potentially taking over and halting storylines like he did last year after WrestleMania 39, then I'd be a little bit more nervous that this could be something that doesn't properly get paid off if Cody Rhodes were to lose. But at this point, I trust the WWE so much that even if it's a decision that in the moment seems a little bit baffling, I'm gonna let it play out and I'm not gonna start boycotting the WWE because of it. For the second time in 2 years, night 1 of WrestleMania is more exciting than night 2. I actually agree with you. When I look from head to toe at both nights, I think that WrestleMania 1 got the better set of matches with the best hyped matches as well. Because last year's WrestleMania, it really did go downhill after night 2 started. But again, I just have so much more trust in WWE in 2024 than I did in WWE in 2023, 2022, and pretty much every single other year that I've been a fan of the WWE. I trust that they're gonna make night 2 an awesome affair as well. But yeah, on paper, I agree with you. I think night 1 does look better than night 2. Sammy versus Gunther, while it will be a good match quality-wise, won't actually benefit either man in the long run. Sammy will have yet another loss, while Gunther will have just another average win, not really befitting the grand stage of Mania. I don't think that it's necessarily a pointless match for either of them. I feel like right now it feels pointless because this has been such a rush story when they told a much better story for Chad Gable to be in this match. So they really had to try and make us care about Sami Zayn going after Gunther in like 2 weeks. But I do think that inherently this is going to be one of those matches that has to be almost entirely carried by, like you said, the good match quality, because I do think that if all goes correct, if all of the blocks fall in the right place, this has potential to be match of the year with the talent that's involved. And even if the story or the post-match benefits aren't necessarily immediately noticeable, I feel like a 7-star match would benefit both guys either way. So I'm excited for it because of the potential of it being an amazing in-ring match, but I am pretty lukewarm on it when it comes to being excited going into the match, when it comes to hype and story building. Drew should beat Seth, but finally Damian Priest cashes in and crushes Drew's dream. We prayed for this. I didn't pray for that. No, don't be lumping me into your prayers here. But yeah, I could see this as a possibility. I don't see a world where Seth Rollins walks out as the World Heavyweight Champion at this WrestleMania. I think that it would be borderline unrealistic. And I know that we've been calling Seth Super Seth for the last 8 months because he just keeps defying all of the odds, all of these knee injuries, all of these back injuries, and still winning. But it would just be baffling if he were to come into the night 2 match after going through what should presumably be a very violent match against The Rock and Roman Reigns night 1, and he still is able to beat Drew McIntyre. That's just not realistic. I think he should be walking into the match bruised and battered. He'll probably put up a good good match, but I do think that Drew McIntyre wins. In terms of a Drew McIntyre loss immediately to Damian Priest cashing in, that could definitely happen, and maybe that's how we end up getting Drew McIntyre going in as a challenger at Clash at the Castle in Scotland. There's a lot of possibilities where this way could go. The Pride versus the Final Testament should main event night 2 of WrestleMania. I mean, yeah, you're probably right. This WrestleMania could be the best WrestleMania ever. Hall of Fame on Friday, you got Stand and Deliver, night 1 on Saturday, night 2 on Sunday. I'm insanely hyped, and I personally think this WrestleMania is the best built of all time and could be the best Mania ever. Yeah, on paper, it has the potential to be all of those things that you said. I am incredibly excited and super happy to be walking into this WrestleMania 40 with so much excitement. And it makes me so happy to see so many people be excited about not just WrestleMania, but professional wrestling in general as well. You also talked about NXT Stand and Deliver, and just like WrestleMania 40, this is shaping up to be arguably the best NXT Stand and Deliver in the history of NXT as well. So everything just seems to be coming up WWE right now. I'm so happy to be a wrestling fan. I'm so happy that you're a wrestling fan. I'm so happy that you're watching this so that we can interact as wrestling fans. It's just a good time to be a wrestling fan. If the original match was Rock versus Reigns, there's no way that Reigns was going to lose at WrestleMania. So are we all convinced Cody is 100% going to do it? I don't know who told you that if The Rock and Roman was actually going to happen, that Rock wouldn't win. If Rock was going in as the superhero of this story, Rock probably would have booked himself to win. This is The Rock. This is the guy that has clauses in his movies where he can't get punched more than X amount of times because he'll look too weak. People were saying he's a part-timer. There's no way that he would take the title off of Roman Reigns. That I don't buy to that narrative. I think that The Rock would have had a big enough ego to walk out with the title if he wanted to. So I don't think that Roman Reigns' reign as champion was safe if he was facing The Rock. So I don't think that it's safe if he's facing Cody Rhodes either. Last year, it was Infinity War, and this year will be Endgame. I strongly believe Rock is a secret agent causing a face turn and will cost Roman the title. Small details, baby. Fingers crossed. Man, this is what's so exciting about going into this WrestleMania. I feel like you could take this a million different ways to the point where I don't know what the hell they're gonna do. See, you think that he's a secret agent. I don't. I do still think that he could turn on Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns were to lose to Cody Rhodes, we could get an enraged Rock who's disgusted that his tribal chief lost to Cody Rhodes. Maybe after Cody Rhodes celebrates, maybe The Rock ends the show by putting out Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns goes on that hiatus that he was talking about in the documentary to help set us up for maybe a return closer to WrestleMania 41 to set up Rock versus Roman Reigns. You can still get to that without The Rock being this double agent, but still, I love that you're thinking that way. I love that so many people have all these different conspiracy theories. I love the water cooler conversations that we're all having on the internet because of the uncertainty of how this show could potentially end. This was the best chance to introduce a women's mid-card title, and they blew it. Dude, yeah, I didn't even think of that, but this is a perfect WrestleMania to introduce a women's mid-card title when you look at some of the big names from the women's division that were omitted from this year's WrestleMania. Like, just off the top of my head, Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and Liv Morgan are all talents that were hyped up enough leading into WrestleMania to warrant having some spot at WrestleMania. I think it would have been cool had they done like some sort of tournament where the final would have been done at WrestleMania. Maybe the final would have been a triple threat between those three for a women's intercontinental championship, and any one of those three would have been a great inaugural champion. I'm with you here. I feel like this was a great opportunity to pull the trigger in releasing a women's intercontinental US title, whatever it is that you want to call it. Folks, I don't know if you can tell my voice. I'm incredibly excited. I'm so happy to be a wrestling fan right now. Thank you so much for sending in your hot takes. Make sure that you come by our WrestleMania 40 watch along on YouTube and on Twitch. It's going to be a good time. We're eating well as wrestling fans. I'm done though. Get out of here.